Hello everyone and welcome back to Trains World 2. We are here at class 47 and as you can see here we are going to be doing the scenario preparation work on the West Somerset Railway. I apologise for my terrible handling of the camera on this one. Is a bit shaky, I admit, and like I say, I do apologise for that. Movement. Still haven't got the swing of using the mouse and keyboard together, movement or the controller together with keyboard. Anyway, I'm gonna do a series of these where eventually I want to run through every scenario of British and American routes and trains that I own. The reason I'm not going for the German ones is they don't appeal to me. I mean, I've got nothing against them, and what others have said, very well made, but I don't identify with them, and so it doesn't make sense for me to make content. But anyway, these series of scenarios, they're going to be a bit different, hopefully, from what you normally see. The actual visual content, pretty much standard. See me setting up the train, doing everything that needs to be done. But I figured, you know, it's boring me just talking about what you can see me doing on the screen, because you can see me doing it. So I thought, each scenario we do, we'll talk a bit about the route we're on, or if there's any real world train news relevant to the route we're on, or the country we're in this case the UK, and we can discuss that. We can also discuss the loco we're using, which, as I mentioned at the top of this video, is the class 47. Now, with regards to these, pretty sure most of you are familiar with what class 47 is, what it looks like. But for those of you who don't know, they are a British railway locomotive built in the 1960s by a company called Brush Traction, who were based in Loughborough and have since been purchased by Wabtec. There was 512 of these built, and they weren't actually all built in Loughborough. Some were built at British Railways Crew Works between 1962 and 1968. So yeah, as I say, 512, that's a lot of examples of this loco, especially for the 60s. I'm sure if we were to look at American railroads, there's probably a few classes that can outnumber that. But anyway, 12-cylinder engine, 2,750 brake horsepower, so quite a bit of power, though it was later dropped to 2580 bhp just for reliability's sake, and it didn't actually blow them up all that much. So as for what are they doing these days, well, as of January last year there were still 78 locos that were still class 48. I'll get to that in a second. Because I just said 48s, I don't know why I said 48s. Class 47s. Yeah. 32 of these have been preserved. 34 are still in operational status, so do the maths. That takes us to 66. So there's 12 that aren't currently operational. Now, the reason I mentioned, I'm reading this off the Wikipedia page, the reason 78 still exists as Class 47s is because quite a few years ago now, there was a subset of these that were turned into Class 57s, and they were mainly used on the West Coast Main Line as rescue locomotives, and they got the name of body snatchers. Although Freightliner did have some of them and used them on freight work as well. So essentially they ripped all the gubbins out, put modern stuff inside, but the basic shell, traction motors, bogies were still retained in the original 47s. Flag spike there. What you will notice is it do take a little while to get used to how to drive this, because you go through the tutorials and it will tell you, oh yeah, this is how you do the throttle, this is how you do the brakes, so on and so forth. Maintaining 25 miles an hour on the throttle is a pain in the backside, and it took me a little bit of working this out, and I did work it out by myself. I've gone about it the wrong way. If you actually get it the right notch you want, so basically where it just start over speeding a bit, see here, you then use the train brake and actually moderate the speed using the train brake, just easing on. Now, I'm not sure if real world drivers do that, so I imagine that does put a bit of wear on the brakes, but you are only using a tiny percentage of train brake, so I don't know, maybe that's how they do it. Imagine, with me, there is a delay in notching up, the amps coming up, speed increases, and vice versa. You notch down, the amps have to drop down, and those amps drop, then the speed drops, so on and so forth. So I imagine it'd take an immensely talented person to be able to drive the train on throttle. So I don't know whether they do that in real life or whether they do use my trick and just use the brakes. Well, I imagine it's the latter. Yeah, as you can see here, I'm still struggling with. But anyway, enough about the loco for now. How about the route? Now, when this route was announced, there was who were happy with it, others weren't, and quite an old route now, actually, despite the fact I've never driven it till today. And I actually own 2 DLC locos as well as the route. It's crazy to me. I have driven one of the DLC locos. Well, I've done the introduction, which is class 33. I also have the class 52, which I haven't driven at all yet. Once I finish with this video, I may actually go do that, because this is a lovely route to drive. It is low speed because it is a heritage line, and personally I think this was quite a sensible route for Dovetail to do. It is self-contained, The length is what they've shown. Typically they want to aim for with routes, sort of 25 to 30 mile range. Even the new stuff coming through now, from the likes of Rivet and Skyhook, they're still sticking to this sort of shorter length formula, even if it's high speed lines, which is crazy to me. I believe Northeast Corridor is coming in summer with Train Speed World Rush Hour, which will bring, I believe, is going to be coupled to the update to the Unreal Engine. We'll be moving to a newer version of the Unreal Engine. We will have to pay an extra lump sum for that upgrade, but you will get extra routes. As I say, I believe NEC will be part of that. There is a German route coming as well. Maybe something else as well. I'd need to look into that. But yeah, it's, as I say, perfect route from my eyes. The length's right. It takes a while to drive. It takes a while to walk actually as well. I have walked the full length, I'll be honest, collecting the collectibles, and somehow by walking the entire length of the route I've missed a couple. It is annoying. Haven't done that on screen because some people like the collectibles, others don't. For me, it's just a little bit extra, something that I can do in my own time to enjoy scenery a bit more. If you guys want to see that, then hopefully these scenario releases will be enough to whet your appetite and you'll go out and buy it for yourself. But as for the route in real life, it is, as I say, West Somerset Railway, Heritage Railway. Pretty much self-explanatory where it is. It is in West Somerset. It runs from Bishop's Lydiard, which is where we're heading now, and there is a mainline connection just beyond that area. And it runs all the way down the coast to Minehead, which some of you may know there is a Butlins at Minehead, and that's well known to me, although I've never been there, of it being the birthplace of Status Quo, one of my favourite bands. Certainly growing up it was, at least. So yeah, many years ago, that is where Status Quo formed their first gigs 10 years ago. Yeah, it do have steam locomotives there as well, which is coming to Train Sim World 2. Not at the moment. Haven't got any steam, but it has been announced they are working on bringing steam trains. So my hope is we bit of overspeed in there. Bad Nick. Yeah, my hope is that we get to see some of the steam locomotives that are based at the West Somerset Railway released as DLC. And just look at what they actually have in real life. So they've got WSR Mogul. It says it's Great Western Railway inspired. That needs some more information on that. So it is an ex-Great Western Railway loco. It was converted from a 262 tank engine to a 260 tender engine. So that's why it gets a Great Western Railway inspired moniker. So there's that. They have got a manor class 460, which is named Odney Manor. They've got an S&B Joint Railway 7F base there. Now, anyone who knows about UK steam trains and locos will be familiar with the Somerset and Dorset Joint Railway. Long gone now, but it's one of those lines that really capture steam enthusiasts' minds. Is that possible? We do have an 040 Peckett. Now something like that I think would be a great first steam loco release. It's small, relatively simple in terms of driving. Be a great introduction to someone who wants to learn to drive virtual steam loco. This is, if they were to come out, dovetail, come out with a US big boy loco. That's amazing, that's impressive. Who in their right mind is going to want to take on one of those, their first driving experience? I'm going to keep talking in hope that no one notices I am missing the whistle boards here. Yeah, big boy, no one is going to be able to pick that up, drive it, even if you get a tutorial. There's going to be so much to take in if Dovetail do steam locomotives justice. Whereas something like an 040 saddle tank, nice, cute little steam loco, something to break your teeth on and ease yourself into it. Now they also have a Hall class loco, which anyone who knows anything about Great Western Railways know that the Hall class was one of their better ones and was used as a mixed traffic engine, so to do fast expresses. It could also do freight just as well. And then they do also have a small prairie, which is, I'm told on the website here, is currently stripped down for overhaul. Again, make an ideal first steam loco. And well, for those that may have written this route off because it's in the so-called preserved collection, it could be a way of reviving it, because honestly, although I have limited experience with this route, I can't see anything wrong with it. There's no glaring errors of, oh, here's one speed friction, oh, as soon as you get to that you've got to suddenly scrub off 30 mile an hour for a 15 immediately after it. There's no issues with that I've seen of trains getting stuck at red lights. There's no issues of train derailing at line speeds, anything like that. So yeah, I personally believe this is quite a good route, and I think it would be a shame if more people didn't go for it. And if Dovetail also dismissed it and didn't bring us a steam loco for it. So one thing I will ask Dovetail, please get the sound right. And anyone who's heard the VR diesel will know that the horn is nothing like what they've given us here. I have no idea where they got that sound from. So anyway, going back to the game, we're actually doing. See, we're coming up to Crocombe Heathfield Loop platform. Can speed down to low 20 because we have got a speed restriction through here. Easy. Let's stop at location just before Bishop's Idiad. One thing I have noticed with Racing World 2 is you actually get, if you're interested in your AP points in the top right hand corner, you are dead on speed limit, you actually get marked as over speeding now. Which I don't know, that just gets me, that does. I noticed it more so because I have actually done a run out on the Isle of Wight route. I think then what route it was. Yeah, the Isle of Wight, I've had a run out on there as well. And notice, yeah, if you're doing 20 in a 20, you're speeding. And yeah, that jars me a little bit. Especially when timings on that route are phenomenal. You've got to really be on it every step of the way, and even if you were, I don't think you can keep to the timings. I haven't read what other people have said about the route. I can only go on my own experiences, but yeah, you'll see when the video comes out. I don't want to dwell too much on that. Yeah, the timings are shocking. Right? To be honest, they're not that hard to drive, the trains either. Just now, probably about 15 minutes left in this one. Need 2.6 miles to go. So it's not just a straight run in the station up. You do have to couple up to a train at the end. Again, nothing too complicated. Just getting this prepped, ready for our first service of the day. Guess while we're here, we should possibly about the modelling of train, more specifically the loco. Now everything seems in place from what I've seen of real Class 47s. Dials readable. Quite good clarity there, there's no issues with reading the numbers. Would really like to get my hands on a rail driver to make it that bit easier to control. I don't know if I've mentioned this, I'm sure I have, but I do use an Xbox controller for the most part. Though I do have to still use the tab button on the keyboard to access the menu for opening the doors. You know, multiple units have a way of opening the doors, but you have to put a key in, you have to turn the key, you have to press a button. And with the timings on Train Sim World, you don't have time to do that. Or if someone can do it, I'd love to see the video. Someone stick to the timings. No overly aggressive speeding out of the station or slamming the brakes on a second, and be able to open the doors properly with the key button close up. If someone can show me a video of that, I would be very impressed. Right, as you can see, cruising down. The train brake holding it perfectly, 24 mile an hour, even though we are on a descent down to our destination. And also mention one thing this video really doesn't do justice is visuals. Unfortunately, I think that's down to software that I use to record. Much prettier when I'm playing than what I'm seeing now on playback. Guess I've just let the cat out the bag. I did record this run earlier without audio, and I am overlaying this audio, and I will do for all of these, because when I'm driving the train, I focus on driving the train. I've noticed in the past, and you can go back and see Train Sim World 2 videos where I've driven the train and been talking to you guys at the same time, and I've completely missed signals, speed limit changes, and yeah, I'm kind of cheating you guys who are watching the video, cheating myself out of the experience of driving it. So hopefully you don't mind this option, and hey, it allows me to talk more about what's going on in the real world, talk about the route, talk about the train we're driving, without having to also focus on what we're actually doing. Talking about the real world, one thing I haven't mentioned yet, probably should do, is we have massive changes going on right now in the UK on our rail network. Have a formation of a new company coming in called Great British Railways, and they're going to use a modified version of the old BR logo, which is awesome. So it's the double arrows. I believe they're going to use red and white for it this time, and essentially they're going to take over everything. So Network Rail, how that currently operates is all of, certainly up till the pandemic coming, all of the rail operations were controlled by different companies. They had a franchise, and basically they did the day-to-day running of the trains, took care of rolling stock, so on and so forth, through further contracts with rolling stock operating companies. It's all very complicated. The government paid out bonuses if they did well. The government paid out if they were struggling, because the railways had to keep running. And the government also run a company called Network Rail, which was responsible for the infrastructure and the signalling. And all the train operating companies paid a fee to Network Rail for access paths on the rails. But of course, the UK government was paying these companies essentially to give us some money back. So with the pandemic coming along, mostly all the ticket revenue dried up, because didn't have people running around on trains. So it was essential travel only. So ridership dropped, and all these companies were like, yeah, we can't survive. So the government had to step in and say, right, we'll pay you that fee while the pandemic's ongoing. We already had companies that defaulted on their franchises, East Coast Main Line being one, which was being run by an operator of last resort, which in reality was the government. And what's now happening is franchises are dead. All existing franchises will be coming to the end of their life. They will not get renewed, and they'll all get absorbed into this new company called Great British Railways. Kicker here though is, those companies that had the franchises previously are going to get paid a fee to do the day-to-day running of the trains. It will be a set fee though. Great British Railways will take the ticket revenue, so any profit will now go into GBR / the government, which is great, but really it's not full nationalisation. It's the worst of both worlds, because for those private companies there's no incentive there to be innovative or go beyond what they're paid to do. They're getting paid a set fee to do a set job, which the whole argument of privatisation in the first place was all these private companies will come in and innovate and revolutionise the railways. The incentive of making a profit if they do so. Well, obviously that's gone out the window, so that incentive to do better, go above and beyond, is no longer there. But those companies still want to make some sort of profit. So that set fee that the government is going to give them to run it, they have to make a profit from it. Well, in my eyes, a public service is not there to make profit. So instead of that profit going to a private company, I think it should be coming back to the government to reinvest in the railways to improve them, pay for large projects. So, yeah, kind of got the worst of both worlds with this Great British Railways, but it's a step. I'm hoping that behind the scenes this is a halfway step, a way of sweetening the deal and basically saying to these companies, right, we're not showing you the door instantly. We're going to transition it. We're not telling you it's a transition, but we are transitioning to renationalisation. That's what I'm hoping. Freight rail has been the success of privatisation, and I'm all for rail freight in private hands where they continue to pay a track less fee to Great British Railways run trains. Same as what open access operators are doing. Now, ideally, I'd like to see open access operators disappear, because then I think they're taking away money that should not be going to make a profit, but hey ho, it is what it is. Right, here we are at the end of the route. So we couple up the train. I thought we'd have to couple up the air brake on this, but remembered then it's not Run 8 and it's not Derail Valley. Just connect the coupling up and it does the air brakes automatically. Put the loco down. Objective complete. Disembark from the train. Done. Fortunately, I can't reach the door. Close it. And in hindsight, I probably should have disembarked from the train platform side. Anyway, we'll take a walk around, look, get a few of the collectibles. So as you can see, that again dates it, because I have since walked the entire route looking for the collectibles. Annoyingly though, the game didn't actually record that I'd walked the entire route, in terms of there is an achievement walking 100 miles, and when I walked the full length of the route it recorded it, which leads me to think that it only records it if it's part of an actual run or scenario. I think if I'd gone for service mode and got out and gone for a walk between services, I may have counted. Okay. Lamp collected. Lamp missed. Well, there is actually one hiding base of the water tower. I missed it this. No, but you guys are probably going to be able to point where I've missed posters, so on and so forth as well. So, you know, it is what it is. Buy a bucket. Beef. Apart from the aforementioned. Walk up bridge. Look round. Ah yes. More poster. There we go. End of the objective. So guys, the mission for you, if you accept it, is to beat that score. Anyway, that is going to be it for this video, guys. Thank you for sticking around and watching, and I'll catch you in the next one. Bye for now.